Oh, morning. We are live. We are live, live, live. This is May 17th, 2026. Morning. Pre Chris Howard morning show. Open up the space. Letting people come. Be as they are. Actually, don't be as you are. Be kind. Be compassionate. Love one another. Because oftentimes we can be not very nice to each other. Hopefully you hear me and are coming through loud and clear. Hey, Brett. Oh, nice. At the stage. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, buddy.
Hope I didn't keep you waiting too much. I was just looking on stuff.
No, I almost went on this morning, but then it gave me a half hour to really think about my thoughts yesterday and stuff.
That's good. Good to be thinking about thoughts, but mostly the and stuff. That's the good part.
Well, it depends on what you mean the definition of "and" is.
Is it arena or agentic?
Oh my Lord, please help me and my friends.
And how does it relate to the imagination, and how does it relate to
We are our own worst enemies.
yeah. I had I was gonna play this little clip from Chris's show yesterday. Tunji was on and he asked a question and I couldn't hear very well. And so I wasn't able to like really reply anything. And it was an interesting question. It was a good question. And so I just kind of was gonna be like, I don't know, think about that verbally process, even though I'm an internal processor. So I was gonna try it, see how it goes. I gotta load it up. Share screen. Edge window. Is there a way to just select a specific part of a screen?
Yeah, well, you can select the tab if that's what you
Uh-huh.
mean. Like if you have
Yeah.
a bunch of windows on one, a bunch of tabs on one window.
Yeah. Also share system audio. So I want to click that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's share that one. Pro tip. Be careful sharing screen audio if you have a guest. They will hear themselves. I don't know what that means.
Probably on my end. I'm not going to talk while your thing's going, so.
All right. Let's see. How do I put that up there? Add to stage. There we go. All right. There he is. There's the man, Tunji. That's who we want to listen. All right. Let's see if this works.
Global and
Is the volume coming through? I probably want.
Yeah.
in some sense spiritual, because it has to do with the changes that happen globally. It's not those are not changes that just impacted one people or another.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not great at making in-person friends either, so I don't know how I can be helping.
Well, let me elaborate one point, because it's it has to do with crossing this this boundary between the internet and the real. This the vulnerability has been that one person normally shows to his friends, his closer friends, has been removed from the real and applied to the virtual, to the internet space. And I think there is some reason to it. From what I can tell, is that you cannot be, you are not paying the price very much of on a personal level in a virtual relationship that you pay on a real level. In the same sense, you are not as accountable. I'm not, for instance, here I'm most familiar with Tayo on the screen, and you know, we spend a lot of time talking, hanging out, but at some point I'm not accountable to Tayo for anything that I do in my life. He's not going to have any saying whatsoever in what I do, what I don't do, and he will never even know about it unless I myself decide to disclose to him whatever I'm thinking or doing. So I am the one authority over what the other person is going to bounce me back, respond to. I decide, I am in control of what you are going to respond to me. And this is not what happened in a real relationship, where we are accountable, we are responsible, and we are not in control of what how the other person is going to perceive us all the time. We are more limited than that. And people don't want to be accountable to anybody, I think, even to the most trivial level. It's kind of, there has been this increase in the isolation maybe has coincided with some sort of some form of narcissism in general, where we don't want to give account to anybody for our life.
Do you
about there? So that's kind of what I was hearing him say was part of the difference between this internet space and then physical presence and relationships. There is the lack of accountability, and I totally understand that on one level. Like, I get that. Like, you like what I did all day yesterday, you have no idea. And so if I was out, trying to think of something silly, that would be, literally painting the town red, with a bucket of paint, painting it red, and you're like, if you saw me in real life, you'd be like, Olson, don't do that. That's dumb. Going to people's cars and paint, like, that would be bad. And so there's no accountability there. And so that makes sense on one level. But as I was thinking about it this morning, on a different level, right? So there's not accountability. Like, all my friends in physical interactions don't have all accountability in all parts of my, like, who I am. So, like, my mechanic holds me accountable for taking care of my car and that, but he doesn't know what I'm doing when I'm grilling in the backyard. And my neighbor may see me grilling in the backyard, but they don't know what I'm doing at work. And so our level of accountability in both real and digital space is predicated upon the areas that which we're interacting with those people. And so if I suddenly start, like, going crazy, and doing weird things right now, you in this interaction would hold me accountable as you can, and be like, hey, like, don't do that, that's dumb, and whereas, but I think is the more intimate you are with somebody, whether online or in person, right, the more accountability you have towards them, right? The more your personhood is entwined with theirs, there's more accountability there. So I don't think it's a digital versus physical space. That's kind of point one. And then the other point he was making is like, he seems that none of us are wanting to be accountable at all to anybody. And I think I could feel that. Like, I think that's kind of my first inclination is, you know, like with our Chris Howard joke, like not wanting to wear the family reunion t-shirt, being contrarian. But at the same time, I think I find that being accountable to people is super helpful in my life. Like I thrive when I know I'm being held accountable because it makes me better. And so, and makes me live the kind of life I'm hoping to be able to live in a better way, especially if I'm accountable to people. And so, yeah, for me, it's something I actually look for, actually long for. And in fact, that's part of this physical space. I talked to Ethan the other day, just on the phone, and was like, "Hey, I wanted to appreciate, you know, what you did in the live streams, you know, and part of that is an accountability, right? Like if someone is on there and is like, hey, you know, normally I see Olson and he wasn't there. Oh, that's a bummer. Even if it's just like that small bit of accountability, like knowing, oh, that was a bummer, right? That's enough for me to like get up and be like, okay, I'll get on or leave a comment or something. And that helps me get up out of bed and, and get going with my morning instead of, you know, hugging that pillow more and just wallowing in my circular thoughts of whatever worries I have going on in the day. You know, I'm able to interact, and oftentimes with those thoughts, as I'm interacting with people, I'm able to like put them in perspective, and it allows me better perspective, allows me to remember, you know, God's grace and His love towards me. Where in my thoughts, you know, as I'm sitting there hugging that pillow, I'm not thinking those things. So I appreciate the greater amount of accountability, even if it is in a digital, not physical space. So I don't know. That was my 10-minute rant.
That's good. There's there's almost a I don't think people realize there's an implied accountability and an unimplied accountability, right?
Mm.
So, for instance, an implied one is like more direct, more explicit. Like I might have brothers in my Bible study, and I might bring something up that I've been really it's been bothering me that I've been doing that's destructive, and I'm making things up here. You know, I'm not.
Sure.
This is a real struggle for me.
Yep.
But like, okay, guys, I've been really struggling with pornography, let's say, and I would like to get some accountability. Ask me about it, you know, and if obviously I'm asking them into my life and asking them to hold me accountable, there's a trust factor there, and part of that trust factor is me not lying about it, right? Like, I mean, why would I go through the trouble of asking you to hold me accountable if I'm just going to lie to you
Mhm.
about and this happened with me in recovery. Like, I'll never forget asking my sponsor to be my sponsor. The only thing I can say for me at that time, because of how afraid I was of everybody at the time, and that's why I drank. And, you know, I could pretend to be the life of the party, but really, you know, you felt alone.
Mhm.
The equation or the equivalent would be like asking a girl on a date
Mhm.
and how scary the rejection part is. So like I'd go up to this guy and say, hey, will you be my sponsor? It was like, hey, will you be my girlfriend? You know what I mean? It was like this,
Yeah.
it was so weird how it was so scary for me.
Yeah.
And it was me explicitly asking him to look at my life with me and walk me through these steps. And I was giving him that permission, you know, to talk into my life. And then there's also the unimplied, you know, not directly, like maybe, I don't know, this may be a bad equivalent, but like you get married. Well, guess what? You're going to be accountable to that person. I mean,
Mhm.
you might not have sat down and had a conversation. Look, my future wife, I want you to hold me accountable. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
you,
we did. Yeah, we definitely did.
yeah, maybe you do have that healthy way of going into a marriage. You know, I'm sure there's a lot that definitely don't see it that way. But in this space, because I think that genuinely most people are so honest with their emotions, so honest with their life, so honest with their thoughts that they know there's an implied accountability. Now, having said that, there's limitations on what I think some people in this digital space find acceptable. You know, um, there's probably groups of the ships that cling together with each other that probably lend more credence to someone's opinion on their life than, say, someone who's on the other side of the flotilla.
Mhm.
And because maybe we don't share the same theology per se, or if they're not even a Christian, you know.
Mhm.
So that's probably the more difficult thing. But I agree with you. You know, I come here to be honest, you know, and to be a genuine participant. And you know, this part of that is you seeing my flaws, you know.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the other day I was on in the comments, and you know, people know me, so it's not like I'm any different, really. I mean, I mean, obviously, I can shoot from the hip a lot quicker in a text than when I'm staring at you in your face or forced to listen to you. You know, like forced. I got to listen to what he's saying and be respectful, and you know, whereas you can just throw your text in and it's not really interrupting anybody.
Mhm.
But it's hard for me, you know. But I like the accountability, like you said. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that everybody has to get to a different place, you know, but you know.
Yeah. With that, I was also thinking my I was actually kind of called out one time in the space from earlier, and there's somebody I need to reach out. I'm going to reach out to them public or privately, and I've been thinking about it for a while. But Michael Centauri actually, you know, I left a comment, and Michael Centauri actually called me out on it, and he's like, "Hey, like this person has, you know, taken time to really helped me and has been a really good person, right? And has really done a lot of good stuff. And I think your criticisms are, you know, maybe the logical part of the criticisms may be correct. There may be truth in it. Maybe they're, you know, but it's, you know, the tone you're going at it is really wrong, you know, and it kind of caught me like, oh man, you're right, because I really appreciate Michael and I appreciate his hard work. You know, he's written a couple books. Like that's a really tough thing to do, um, and and so I want to support him as much as I can, but I'm not really supporting him. I'm not reaching out. I'm not, you know, reading his books and giving him criticism, like constructive criticism, personally, privately, on that. And this person was, and so I'm like, this person's being able to love Michael in a better way than I am, and then I'm sitting there like not really treating this person fairly, and so I'm like, yeah, that wasn't good. So I gotta, so I'm gonna reach out to that person and say, hey, sorry. Sorry for doing that. It's interesting. I've been feeling it feeling like it this weekend. And then this thing with Tunji, I was like, oh, like, yeah, I probably should rectify that, go out and be reconciled with that, or ask for reconciliation. I guess it's up to them to forgive, but I'm pretty sure they will. I don't know.
It is funny too, isn't it? It's so weird because there's definitely a, direct contact with other individuals here, not just in the internet, but in real life here, that gives us this accountability reminder, right? But clearly, God has a hand on that. Maybe he made the person think about reaching out to you and calling you out and saying, "Hey, man, take it easy," or the fact that you, from God, felt that by the Holy Spirit. Man, you really, Now, for me, because I'm so all over the place mentally, I process it through a filter. Like, should I own this? Is this an accurate representation on how I was conveying what I was saying? And if this person thought that, then maybe that person thought the same thing. So there is a chance that they're right. So maybe I need to convey that wasn't my thoughts on this, and just make it clear. But I feel like that's what's neat about God's accountability in my heart. And an example, there was this couple. There was this girl who's been on drugs and alcohol so long that she's not mentally all there. And she comes into our store and she's all over the place. And when I try to explain things to her to help her fix her problem of her place, she is deliberately difficult, or seemingly deliberately difficult, but she may honestly, genuinely not have the capacity. But then I sense her stubbornness that is deliberate. So like when I tell her something, she would be stubborn about what I'm telling her because she envisions a different solution, but she's not listening to what I'm saying. And so I have a real hard time with her. And I get short, curt. Now her girlfriend is the sane one of the two. And she'll come in and have a conversation with me, and we have this great dialogue. I can communicate properly. She appreciates what I'm saying. She sees, that I actually have good intentions for them. Like, you know what I mean? There's a hospitable dialogue that both of us have for each other and the problem, and you know what I mean, and value. But God convicted me and just reminded me, dude, you were an addict. You drank. You were, there go you, but for the grace of me. And it was like, oh yeah. Do I need to ask her for forgiveness? Well, she comes in all the time. But you know what I mean? It's like this a different level of accountability.
Yeah. It's like a accountability of remember, we had a discussion a while back about like submission, right? And so it's like a accountability in that submission where he's reminding you like, hey, if it wasn't for the grace I've shown you, like this people would be interacting with you in the same way.
What do you
I
mean?
think. Well, like as you were saying, like um, as you look at her, it's like you see, hey, I've been in that place. I've wrestled with those demons, and um, if it wasn't for God's grace, like I would be in that same spot interacting with other people in a similar way, and I would be needing extra grace to get by from
Yeah.
those people.
And I'm probably still in a place where other people, right, could look at how I behave even in this space here.
Mhm.
You know, how critical I can be of some people in the space. And I'm like, I feel so frustrated that they're not understanding me. And then there'll be someone that's looking at me and my behavior and go, dude, chill out. You
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And I mean, we're all at a different stage and place in our walk, you know,
Yeah.
and in our journey. Some haven't deconstructed yet. Some have already done it or in the middle of their process, and they have to work their way back in to understand things differently, and to have patience with God's timing in it all. And it's just like, you know, and being so I don't know what's the word, being so hostile to them doesn't benefit anybody, even me.
Yeah.
But I do get zealous about it. You know, like when people are talking about the Bible and the way they're coming at it, misrepresenting it, it really bothers me. Not because I want to be right or show them that I'm right. That's not what it is. I get so frustrated because I feel like they've either read or listened to too many skeptics to the point where they've literally fed you know, when I was coming back into Christianity in full force, I realized that the glass that I had of liquid was muddy and cloudy and confusing. And when I realized I wanted to store up, as they say, treasures in heaven, I wanted to pour as much of the pure water, right, into the cup so that it could become clearer. And so I got more into actually reading the Bible. I got more into seeking wisdom from people that I trusted, that were trustworthy, that proved they were trustworthy people. You know, obviously submitting to some authority in that. And what's great about it is that as the more the clean water comes into this cup, you know, and it overflows, you know, that muddiness starts to clear up more and more. Now, as you know, when you're pouring things into something, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be crystal clear. Not, and we would say as Christians, it won't ever be like that until like we're before the Lord and in His glory, and you know
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I mean, this like just my point is my infallibility in how I'm treating people means more to me than conveying a point that I want to convey or conveying a point that I think the world should obey, or that, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Are you paused?
No,
Oh, okay. There you
I'm
go.
glad you logged on.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Creating space, you know. Um, yeah, it reminds me of your last point there, right? Like my being in relation with that person, is it more important than the point trying to be made? And I think a lot of times that is. I'm trying to think of like a counter example when it might be more important to convey the truth. But I think vast majority of the time that's right, right? It's like and it reminds me of somebody said something along the lines, and I'm going to butcher it, right? But in an argument with your wife, you could either be right or you could be, you could become reconciled, but you can't get both. And so, and I think that's true with most relationships. Like when you're having disagreements, like if you're looking at the same set of facts and you're drawing different conclusions, right? Then it's really hard to argue that person into your view, because you've already looked at the same facts, right? And whether it's from previous histories, you're bringing different stuff in, or just your perspective on that certain situation is different, right? Whatever it is, you've addressed the same thing, and you've drawn different conclusions, and sometimes that happens, and it's really hard to like then to argue a person a different way and be like, no, you're wrong on this way. um and but sometimes people are wrong. Sometimes they do have to go a different way. Right, sometimes facts aren't, like, feelings and emotions shouldn't keep us from loving well, right? I think that's the big kind of trap that sometimes our current culture gets into, where being respectful of another person's feelings, which is 100% should be, keeps us from not wanting to love them well, because sometimes to love somebody well means to like bring hard truth, right? Like, you know um like accountability, right? To enter into a loving relationship, you need to be accountable with people. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's going to hurt their feelings for a moment. It's like the doctor, like, you know taking my son he had to get blood drawn when he was like a year and a half. And the doctor, well, there were two kind of nurse people trying to do it, and it was terrible. It was like the whole time, like, they had to do it multiple times and for all different minutes, and they couldn't like get the needles and stuff in the right spots, and they tried 4 different spots, and like the whole time I'm just holding him, and he's just bawling. He's looking up at me, and he's just like, why are you letting them do this? Like, you are supposed to hold me and protect me, and this is not protecting me. And I knew that what they were doing was helping him, because we needed to check to see if he had certain medical issues going on. And that, in that way, that was the greater protection. But in that moment, he had no idea what that was, And so I think sometimes we do have to hold others accountable for that, but sometimes that might upset them. But at the same time, how do you hold that intention? How do you have that discernment? How do you have that wisdom? I think that's where the idea of wisdom comes from, is knowing like when to say what. Because in the Proverbs, right, it says, don't listen to the fool, and then at the other sign it says, listen to the fool. and so being able to discern that.
I like how Paul hits it really hard. It's like there's no question that we're supposed to stand up. But it sounds so, when I say that, what that implies in today's age, right? But by speaking truth in someone's life, right? So you're standing up for the truth, regardless of whether somebody wants to think it's your truth or not your truth or God's truth, whatever. But the whole point that Paul's making, right, is all these things are great, but doing it without love, what good is it? And I
Mhm.
guess that really frustrated me yesterday, because I was thinking to myself, like, the way that we were so convoluted on understanding love. I actually looked it up to make sure that I wasn't completely in some sort of presuppositional space. I'm like, I remember it being revolutionary to me that we as humans love through action. So it's a verb, right? But when the writers are writing in Greek, love, and they're talking about God as love, he is love. They're talking about him. This love is a noun. And to me, this was amazing, because here I am thinking, oh, yeah, God's loving, I'm coming from my evangelical upbringing, and Jesus is so loving dovey. And yeah, he is. But it's a reflection of God the Father is love. And so Jesus is love,
Mhm.
not just expressing love, not just treating people with love.
Mhm.
He is love.
Mhm.
And what does that mean to me? Wait a minute. This is like revolutionary. Is love? It's a noun? Agape? Wait a minute. I thought agape was just unconditional love. No, it's a noun. They're using it very specifically. And so that's what's cool about reading Greek, is you see the subject, you see the direct object, you see the indirect object, you're conjugating it. And it's not like a Gnostic thing. It's just, if you want to learn Greek, you can learn Greek and get different types of insights. But I think a lot of people don't care about that stuff.
Mhm.
But it gives me a different perspective of God the Father and being love. He is the creator of all things. So at the end of all this, I'm just I think that all this just keeps reminding me of God's sovereignty,
Mhm.
you know, and I think that's what's so special about my tradition, is knowing he's got this, and you can warp speed it all the way to the end times. And, at the end of the day, he wins. So all the people that say what they want to say, you can keep saying what you want to say. You can keep believing what you want to believe. But, in the end, he's going to win. So what you think doesn't matter.
Mhm.
What you think God should be doesn't matter. He is what he is. And one of the things he is love.
Mhm.
So like it or hate it, you know.
Yeah. Thank you, Brett. That's a great note to end on. So we'll go ahead in there. It's 5:34, and head over and talk to Chris.
Thanks, buddy. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
guys. Yeah, appreciate it.